I'm going to talk a little bit about some analysis of what became the war on terror, but in reality is the I think I'm fine with this, aren't I? In reality is the shape of imperial conflict in the post-Cold War world. I've been writing on this for some time. I brought together the analysis in a book published a while back called Imperialism and Resistance. So this is basically some thoughts based on that analysis. The first thing, I think, since we're discussing in part whether or not America has declined in power, the first thing I think to say is that whatever we want to say about that, and I'll have some things to say about that in a moment, we need still to hold on to a central fact about the American economy, which is that it is still by far the largest single economy in the world. These are some contemporary figures, and you can see that the American economy alone accounts for a quarter of world GDP. This tells you the same sort of thing, that the US market, you can see it compared to all the other markets in the world. The US is still bigger than all the 27 EU economies combined as a market, and considerably greater than any single other challenger. So what we're going to be saying about American decline has to be placed in the framework of the fact that it is still overwhelmingly the largest economy. But it's not just the snapshot, it's not just how it is now that's important, it's the direction of travel. And this rather confusing graph, which looks as if it's actually about molecular biology, but it's actually about the movement of the different economies. And you can see it projects into the future. The last figure is the figure for the year 2050, if current trends go on. And if current trends go on, in 2050, China will be the largest economy, India the second, and the United States the third. But as interesting, really, is what's happening in the middle of this graph, in this area here, between the year 2000 and the year 2020. Because in that 20-year period, which obviously we're nearer the end of that period than the beginning of that period now, you can see that the major European economies, France, the UK, Germany, are all declining. You can see that the United States is being knocked off the first position, and you can see very rapid growth in the Chinese economy, latterly in the Russian economy, and in the Indian economy. So when we look at the static picture, yes, it's true. America is still by far the largest economy in the world. When we look at the direction of travel, it's clear that America has very serious competitors in a way that it didn't have for most of the period after the Second World War. If we take that period as a whole and look at American economic power, the decline is even starker. After the Second World War, the US was responsible for over 50% of the manufacturing capacity of the entire global economy. Now that figure, depending on whose figures you take, is round about 22%. So the overwhelmingly powerful American economy at the end of the Second World War was already being challenged and was already in a relative state of decline by the end of the Cold War, and the projections are, or the facts of the matter are, that it is even in an even steeper relative decline compared to its most pressing competitors in the period since then. So that's one side of the story: a big economy being challenged in a way that it hasn't been in any period since the Second World War, and being challenged more sharply now than at any time in that period as well. But that is, again, you can see it here from the growth rates in the advanced economies below the world average, the growth rates in the emerging and developing economies above the world average. Same kind of story. There again, you can see the same story if we project American growth against the growth of the Chinese economy. We're at, I suppose, what many people regard as the tipping point here, where American growth has been slower than Chinese growth, and Chinese growth figures are just about meeting it. So that's one side of the story.